Ute Meyer. She will talk about the term periphery. And Ute Meyer is an urbanist. She's a professor at Biberach University of Applied Sciences. She has led projects for municipalities, ministries, and international institutions, and holds master and executive degrees from Columbia University and the London School of Economics and Political Science. Ute Meyer has co-founded the studio urbanes.land, urban land, which is both an academic institute and a non-profit organization. Please welcome Ute Meyer.
Yeah, welcome. From my side, thank you for holding out. It's 10 minutes only till lunch. Thank you, Stefan, for introducing me and having me. Last not least, periphery. We have never been pure. We have never been clean. This is a quote from Lithuanian artist Executive-Abschlüsse, taken from her songs, from her film Songs from the Compost, mutating bodies, imploding stars, which can be seen in this year's Biennale in Venice. Like many projects there, like many other projects there, the film is interested in interaction and cooperation of composite organisms in hybridity and symbiosis across species, or say typologies, in collectivity and permeability between bodies and the environments they inhabit, in messy, fertile, and possibly endosymbiotic relationships. I'd like to set this as a tone to talk about something that modernists haven't been much interested in, but nevertheless, and that's the other expression, is a very strong heritage or leftover or surplus maybe of modernism, periphery. So I've brought 10 thoughts on these conditions or territories, or their potentials, loosely coupled with impressions from this year's Biennale. Perception. Periphery might be just as much a matter of direction and perception as of place. To peel out tasty slices, we have to resist the temptation of a center-based perspective, looking outwards from a sharply defined core into nondescript surroundings. Periphery can't be treated with conventional planning or design methods, nor can it be read, understood, challenged, critiqued, or loved with them. Let us look laterally to discover industrial and agrarian production hubs for logistics and data, green lungs, and a spatial reserve for sustaining developments in the energy and food sector. Peripheries are home to the 80% said to be living in cities by 2050. They host real life, and their own interest in the center is likely overvalued. Take Venice, for example. The Lido in Venice offers prospects of the Mediterranean horizon that put St. Marco at your back. Fringe. Peripheries are fringy. A fringe is not a clear-cut case of either or. It is not an edge abruptly finishing, nor a seam self-embracing the end of something. A fringe is fuzzy, scratchy, or tailed, an unorderly transition. Fringes are an exercise in surface enlargement. They offer a maximum of mutual exposure to both adjacent spheres, an in-betweenness charged with opportunities. So this takes us back to the 1990s. Post-structuralists then took a deep dive into the condition of the in-between. Architecture's avant-garde built their work on the term, inscribing uncertainty and oscillation in their projects, musing on the unstable character of space, blurred, interpretable, and vague. Backstage is the area that is usually not accessible to the audience, or in case of the city, the visitor. Peripheries provide the dressing rooms, the catering, the rehearsal rooms, the stage doors to the urban stage. They are servicing, functional, unpretentious. Of course, they also witness secret encounters, improvised sessions, intrigues and despair, stage fright and bliss. The space off the stage offers discreteness, bumped off authenticity, supply chains, and rare scents. It offers a retreat from public hustle and bustle and withdrawal from the spectators or global gaze. Eccentricity. Contemporary views on or works in metropolitan development areas often resist classifications like peripheral or sub-peri-urban. They question that centripetal forces would pull all the components of urban life towards the one main core. They especially disagree with the other side of the coin, an idea of boring outskirts, bare of any attraction and hardly worth a closer look. The big magnet idea still explains traditional dynamics of power and economy, but when it comes to functional and social diversity and/or disparity, self-help, growth, transformation of infrastructures, or the real harsh land issues, it's the centers that today are off. Extramuros are the breeding grounds for necessities that would not yet find their way, not find space nor acceptance within the boundaries of the respectable city. Everyday peripheries are the physical equivalent of the everyday. No wonder Desserteau's practice of every life questions and subverts the hierarchical relationship between center and periphery. Everyday practices, he states, draw their emancipatory effectiveness from their ability to operate at the blind margins of institutions and their techniques of control. They are too small, too insignificant, too ordinary to register. Plus, unnoticedly, they make use of existing infrastructures for their own subversive aim. ABCdery, this is what we do today. In 2013, Marc Angelil and Michael Hirschbichler published the ABCdery on the periphery. They list agglo, nolly, brownfields, copy and paste, and then horizon, infrastructure, subtraction, or typology transfer, and stake out a space that counteracts the division of city and country, beautiful and ugly, urban and idyllic. In the introduction, Angelil refers to Gilles Deleuze and Roland Barthes, both of whom loved ABCderies, their combination of a functional structure and high degree of indeterminacy, their independency from any clear core, and their openness, of course, for leaps, multiple relationships, association, and productive interpretation. ABCderies as a nutcracker to catch on the agglomeration. Survival. Periphery needs to substantially contribute to sustainable development goals into practice. The question is no longer, how do we want to shape our world in the future and what should we therefore do? The question is, how do we deal with the irreversible changes that are coming? A wetter, warmer, stormier climate might provide us with banana instead of plane trees along the roads, black beans and lemons instead of lawns in the suburbs. What if the urban growth belt, pardon me, what if the urban growth belt, contempted for its land appetite, irrational mobility patterns and smugness, could be reread as a potent reserve space for resilient development and action? What if changing industrial and infrastructural landscapes could facilitate new business models, cross-sectoral land use, a layering of functions on the same plot, and circular processes? My favorite quote from Salman Rushdie. Question: what is the opposite of faith? Not disbelief. Too final, certain, closed, itself is a kind of belief. Doubt. Peri-capitalist, a wonderful term. Anthropologist Anna Löwenhaupt-Ting describes it as a certain economic activity that exists in the geographic or social periphery of the capitalist gaze, in constant transition between gift and commodity. She finds almost, but not yet quite, capitalist behavior in suburbs and metropolitan areas, edges where different models of negotiating values overlap. The more unstable formal systems become, the more these gray zones expand, always shifting, carrying potentials to reimagine the current system. And finally, last, outskirts. Out skirts. Who would question that in the history of apparel, costume and fashion, the outermost layer has been crafted with greatest care, as the peripheral layer of clothes extends and substantially co-defines any body. So let's do that.